Sorry, Jack. Chucky's back.
How's it hanging, Phil?
Alright, we are live, so greetings ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episodic discussion podcast. We will be talking about Child's Play, Chucky franchise, and all the movies, and the quirks, and him stabbing people. Is going to be a fun time. So I'm your host, Renegade Operative, and I like to introduce my panel. So first we have Cujo.
Oh geez, just throwing me up in the beginning. I'm not used to that. Hey, how's it going? Heidi ho.
Next we have Misty.
Hello.
Next we have Kaneki.
Face it, Andy. Chucky's gonna be a bro.
Fucking hell, I knew this line was gonna come up eventually. God damn it. And last but not least, we have Mr. Cryo.
Howdy doody.
All right, we're gonna get to the first question here. I know I'm gonna place favorite line in the document eventually, but the first one is at least, what is your first introduction into the Child's Play franchise? What made you fall in love with this series in the first place? Who wants to go first?
I guess I could.
Sure.
So, with me, I started out with the first Child's Play movie. And this was on DVD, by the way. This is the MGM DVD. And I fell in love with it like instantly because it had that creep factor that I loved. And just the idea of a serial killer try to avoid death, putting his soul into a kid's doll to cheat death. It was actually very, very interesting. There's a lot of good scenes in the first one, and I think that's what got my love for Chucky and Child's Play. Like the dark humor aspect of it, I really, really loved. Like who could forget Maggie getting hit with the hammer falling out of the window? Like that in of itself like solidified my love for the series.
I'll go real quick and then I'll let someone else take the baton. So I like this series a lot when, you know, they were advertising it, and I think it was the first.
You're muted.
Oh God, here we go. The mute button. All right, so I kind of was like going into a spiel. It is recorded, but I was saying that I really enjoyed the series when they were advertising it as sort of a killer doll movie, and it was like there was Cabbage Patch Kids at the time, and that was like super popular, and it was concurrent with this movie. So I guess they decided, hey, fuck it, let's just make a slasher. So this is how Child's Play came to be, and for the most part, I really loved the first film. I think it was around the time I first saw it and Jurassic Park a little bit, and I just remember being kind of like mesmerized that this doll was going around and committing a lot of misdeeds. Cool cast all around, like just solid performances by like either the cop that was like trying to convince that Chucky was dead, then he started to believe it he started to believe it when he started seeing shit, and he tried to attack him in his car, and I thought that was awesome. And then it only
Chris Sarandon, right?
Yeah, Chris Sarandon. I forget his character's name though, because I know Andy brought him up. Yeah, Mike Norris,
Detective
I believe?
Mike.
Yeah, Mike Norris.
Norris. Yeah,
Um,
because the mom was played by Christine Hicks, who was part of Seven Heaven.
yeah, she was cool too. Like a nice survivor mother who nobody really believed her in the film, and she was going through everything to try to convince people that this thing is haunting my child. Please help me. So it was a
Yeah.
nice urgency to that first film. And that's why I love it so much. And then afterwards, the sequel only made it better. So anyone
Or
else?
worse, depending on which it was.
Oh yeah, definitely. So anyone else want to take this question?
I'll go last.
Sure, I specifically remember going to like rental places like Blockbuster, and as a kid, I would go down the horror aisle, and I would just at that age I would look at like movie covers mostly. So going through like VHS tapes, I remember I would just go like, all right, seen that one, seen that one, seen that one, seen that one. And at the time, I kept whenever I'd come across like the Child's Play ones, I think there were what 3 of them at the time. I think maybe Bride came out. So I don't know later on, but I remember at the time I was going like, these are kind of neat. What's this about? Because like has been said before, Chucky's a doll. So you look at that and you're like, all right, that's kind of unique and different. So it always stood out to me when I was younger. When I got around to watching them, I'm like, all right, this is kind of neat. I can get behind this. Brad Dourif nails it as Chucky. I mean, the movies. I don't think the movies would have even got us like any sequels if he didn't have the charisma behind it. He sells the role. And as the series goes on, I think it's just genuinely a really interesting concept. It's not your standard slasher movie. I thought it was always kind of interesting because Chucky is like weirdly more vulnerable than a lot of like horror movie villains. He's actually pretty fragile and beatable generally. I mean, it's a doll, which it kind of takes me back to. I remember when I was first talking to about the series with my mom. Her response to it was like, "It's a doll, kind of stupid." So I just remembered laughing at it because I remembered like, oh yeah, he weighs like 5 pounds. So it kind of brought up these questions in my mind at the time. I'm like, all right, how do they make this scary? So I watched through them, and yeah, I'm a big fan of the series.
Yeah, I remember they made some weird like explanation for that as well. Like apparently, because I mean, of course you can toss Chucky around like he's a little sack of shit. I mean, that's common, but he apparently has the strength of a human in the doll's body, hence why people struggle against him. So that's kind of like indoctrinated into the lore. But there's also the fact that it's a fun fact that they changed Chucky's voice. I think it was originally a female voicing him, and then they thought that was not as menacing enough, so that's when they brought in Durf, and they said make your best Brooklyn accent, and that's how we got the Chucky voice that we have now. So I always thought that was very interesting for fun facts. But I'm gonna let Misty go, and then Kaneki's gonna go last.
Okay, so I have a big extended history with this franchise. It really just ties into like my love for horror in general. I remember that I was first exposed to this when I was a kid. I was like 3-4 years old. I was like walking around Los Angeles with my grandma, and we passed a store that had like a Chucky doll in the window, and it was like the scarred iteration of him. And I remember just grabbing her and be like, oh my God, scary. Like I was just terrified. And she laughed at me. And then it followed me around because we were at Best Buy, and then my mom, because my grandma loves horror movies, she just bought like a collection that had 2, 3, and Bride for my grandma. And I was like, why? Like, I'm scared of this thing. Why do you do this to me? So then they were watching those. I remember just peeking around a corner, and I didn't really join them. I was just peeking, and the curiosity just kept building. I remember seeing posters for Seed when that came out, being like, why the hell is this still a thing? This is terrifying. The teaser trailer for Seed jump scared me. I was like, it won't leave me alone. And then I started getting into horror movies, and then I called my grandma. I was like, hey, when you come visit us, can you bring those movies with you? I think I'm ready. And I just became obsessed. I loved them so much. So it's my favorite horror franchise because it was something I was so scared of, and yet it became something I really loved, and it's sentimental in a way.
Kaneki, how do you feel about the killer doll Chucky, and how did you get first introduced to it?
Well, my first introduction was like any normal person is by scrolling through the TV, or your mother, if your mother's like a huge horror fan, she'll tell you what horror movie to check out. And I think she told me, "Hey, you should check out this Child's Play horror movie." I'm like, "What's that?" She said something about a killer doll. So I'm like, all right. I was into the Puppet Master series because those type of doll. I like those type of dolls that kills people. So I tuned into that, and it really blew my mind in terms of how the series came out to be, especially with his with his jokes and whatnot. At the same time, trying to be like a serious horror movie about a killer doll. What happened?
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say what made me fall in love with the series is, like I said, his jokes before and after he kills people. It's like his charm. It's like I can't watch a Child Play series without the same guy behind the Chucky boys.
Yeah, especially what happened with the voodoo doctor, John.
Oh yeah, he's like, what do you have? I forgot the line. It's like, where do you want a broken leg? And then he just snaps his leg.
Oh yeah. He's like, the door, give it back.
You mean the moment
broken leg?
You mean the moment I'm in the stall, I'm stuck like this? No fucking way.
Fucking way.
Oh, you know what?
You got me into this. You're gonna get me out.
You get me out. You know,
I can't do that, Chucky.
Why not?
You're an abomination.
Outrage against nature. We have to do favorite lines. I'm sorry, this is great, but
Yes.
I guess I'll go first. I think one of my favorites is when the old lady's sort of like, oh, ugly doll, and then the elevator goes up and he's like, fuck you.
Fuck you.
I just thought that was so fantastic.
That's the charm, baby.
Anyone else have any favorite lines?
Well, it's so simple, but it's just like the delivery and like the kill in particular, where in the second one where he kills Andy's foster dad, he's just like has a hang and Phil. It's just a moment.
Yeah.
It's just like, bro, you have to take a moment to have a little pun.
He was great. That has a lot of lines in there.
Sorry, Jack. Chucky's back.
What is
From
that?
that Child's Play
yeah.
2 teaser.
I do remember
Yeah.
the commercial with the Jack in the Box. It's like,
Yes, it was great.
and then there's like when he's mad in the closet after Andy locks him in there. It's like, Andy, please, it's dark in here. I promise I won't kill anyone else. Now open this goddamn door. He starts getting like increasingly bad. That's also like,
No, open
really,
this goddamn door.
that's also
Oh, yeah.
really fucking good.
Damn.
Right, I was like,
There's so
this is
many-
a lot.
Yeah, there's so many good lines. I mean, there was one from Kyle, not from Chucky.
Are you talking about the one where she's about to like run him over?
No,
Oh,
no. The cop pulls them over, and Chucky's nose starts bleeding.
It's like, you seen dolls that pee?
This one bleeds.
that cop was
Wait,
like,
that's one that.
he's like,
That's one that sticks out in my mind. But
he's like, I'm noping the fuck out of there. Dolls that bleed, no.
I love when the cop leans in. He's like, "Well, hey, little guy, what's your name?" And the slow head turn is just like,
I'm Chucky.
He doesn't give a fuck about looking innocent right there.
Shit. Oh. I guess maybe Bride of Chucky, where shit. What was I thinking? I think it was the line where he says, "Hey, Raggedy Ann, I wouldn't be talking if I were you," or something like that.
I remember where fucking
But
Chucky told Tiffany that she needs to be battery operated to get a reaction out of her in bed. It's like, by the way,
God.
where the hell did you learn to bake? He throws the cookie at her. It's like, this is
Yeah.
fucking
Oh,
Pete.
don't forget the classic. Hey, Tiff, what would Martha Stewart think? Martha Stewart.
What Martha Stewart do?
Who the fuck is Martha Stewart?
Oh, oh God.
Damn, she flat out said, "Fuck Martha Stewart." Okay, it's just a brand of comedy and what comes with it, and also how creative the lines are. It's so many to choose from, just like the next question. But
Yeah, especially that scene where she was telling everyone how Chucky wasn't great in bed, and Chucky's like, "She wasn't complaining last night."
I wasn't complaining last night.
That reminds me of the first movie. I think still has the most awkward line, and I don't know if they gave it like a second pass and realized how it sounded.
I know what you're talking
Oh
about.
God,
yeah,
yeah.
the line where he's like, "Well, John, it's been fun, but I gotta go. I have a date with a 6-year-old boy."
Everyone
You
always makes
have
fun
a
of
date
that.
I'm like, wait a minute, hold on now.
It's like,
Phrasing.
yeah.
I think it's
Yeah,
as far as back then, you could like say it and people wouldn't think of it a different way.
I'll just say that
otherwise.
line hasn't aged well.
No, it has not.
Like, Chucky, what are you trying to imply here?
Well, maybe that's why Mike Norris shot the doll at the end. That's just go figure. But I don't know, Cujo, you have any favorite lines?
Oh, I already popped my 2 favorite ones. They're in there. You heard them.
Oh damn. Well, I heard it in the intro, but I was surprised no one said, "Just think, Chucky's gonna be a bro."
You're bro.
I said that.
Oh no.
Although, there is one more of my favorite line. And was it? Is it Sea of Chucky? Like, that's the one I hate. Everyone arguably hated. But there is a highlight where he killed, Britney Spears, and he said, "Oops, I did it again," and then he laughs.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah, because that's a reference to her album.
That's hilarious.
ran her ass off the road. And like, I did it
That's-
again. Boom.
Yeah, that was actually extremely funny. I guess one line that sticks out a little bit more for me was when she tried, because Ren brought it up, when Kyle was trying to run over Chucky. He says something like "goddamn women drivers," and she's trying to shake him off.
He's just screaming
Just
throughout
the
the whole
delivery.
scene. Like, Jesus.
Just the delivery by Brad Dwarf was one of my favorites.
Women drivers specifically.
She almost killed them, so it's like she's treated him as a safety hazard, I guess. But it's time to move on to the hard part, which is favorite kill, the hard part. I guess I'll go first then to make it easier, and then people could go after. But I really like that kill, and oh man, it's got to be a Chucky one in particular. Okay, it's kind of like a double kill in a sense. So it's that scene in C where they kill the guy that's like in the operating room with the dolls, and they sort of like take a wire, put it around his neck, and then they just pull, and his head just like comes off and it flies down, and it's the puppet operator. Yeah, the puppet operator. It's a nice practical effect, and then afterwards it's kind of a little fucking strange because you then have like Chucky and Tiffany like tongue kissing
Making
and
out.
blood, and then their child or whatever is like peeing on the floor, and I was like, what is?
Yeah,
we're gonna get to that movie at the end, but I was just like, what the fuck is going
Dude,
on? But
Pissing your
Glenn.
pants.
you're pissing your pants. But the scene itself was great. I enjoyed that kill so much. It's just everything after was kind of weird.
I did like the ending for that movie though. I felt like everything until like the ending was kind of dog shit. Besides the scene that you talked about, which was at the beginning.
Redman was trying to get some ass. I mean, but that's another story for like later.
Yeah, Redman was red hot. No guts, no glory. Am I right?
Friend's favorite character in the movie.
Oh, fuck off. Fuck off.
That's you, man.
Nah. All right, Kaneki, how about you? Favorite kill?
My favorite kill.
Yep.
I want to say my favorite kill was near the ending. No, okay, yeah, at the ending of Child's Play 2, where the guy was trying to fix the well, you know how the machine was like putting the eyes in the dolls.
Oh yeah.
Chucky came over there, sliced that man's I want to say his like ankle or some shit.
I
And
think
then-
he cut his face and then he fell over.
No. He cut his leg. I
Okay, his
think,
leg.
where he tripped over something and then he took a swipe at his face.
Yeah.
Then the eyes thing like was coming down to his eyes, and that's how he died.
Yeah.
It was so goofy, but that was original.
That was a pretty cool kill, honestly. Honestly, my favorite kill is gonna sound kind of lame.
I'll just go for it, sir.
It's the one thing that sticks out in my mind because it was humorous. So two actually kind of sticks in my mind. One was when the guy that was obsessed with cutting people's hair, when he gets it, and Chucky says, "Presto, you're dead." It's a good look.
Oh yeah, you're talking about the weird shaver who was
Yes, in
shaving
Child's Play 3.
Child's Play 3, where he was obsessed with like cutting people bald.
Cutting people's... Yeah. And Whitehurst comes in, forgot something, and he sees Chucky, and Chucky just looks at him and goes, "Boo." But the other one is also in Child's Play 3, believe it or not. When I think the Colonel, when he was in his office and Chucky appeared behind him with a knife, and the guy started grasping his chest, and he's like,
"Oh, he had a heart attack."
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, you've got to be fucking kidding me!"
I think they're bringing that back for season 2 of the series. I saw it in the trailer, but there's one similar to that.
Yeah, someone has a heart attack. I mean, I don't know. I think it's kind of lame, but it makes sense because I guess if like an 87-year-old man with like a bad hip and he can't fuck without Viagra, of course he's gonna have a heart attack seeing that doll. So.
Okay.
I don't know.
How do you know he's 87 and can't do that, man?
I mean, he's old. You can't do that
80 though.
So he can't get his Springfield rifle up. Got it.
Something like that. Cujo, what about you for favorite kill?
For mine, it was kind of a toss-up. I think the one I gotta go with is I really liked the it's just very brief and it's very punchy. It's from Curse, and it's the God, I cannot remember the characters from Curse very well, but it's the dude who gets his jaw chopped off with an axe.
I love that.
Yeah,
Looks so cool.
Pretty damn good one.
Yeah, pretty good effects. I think that had to be all practical because the thing they do with that scene after it's done is like pretty gruesome, but they show the body again and it's just like stretched wide out, so it's pretty disgusting stuff there. I kind of like the practical effects for that.
And don't forget about what happened to shit, I think her name was Barb.
Oh yeah.
what he said, he's like, "You have your mother's eyes, and they were always too fucking close." And just stabbed her in the eye, taking her eyeball out. And I'm like, yes.
That was brutal. Well, for me, I've debated about it for a while, but for me, I consider it an iconic one. It's not that violent, really, but I mean, what gets me about it is that like to me, it's just everything. It's what I love about this franchise. It's the yardstick kill from the second movie with the teacher, because most
yeah.
of them, it's like they notice he's alive and then he kills them and it's over. Like they don't. Most of his victims don't really register that they're dead so quickly, but she's just laying there and it's just the shot of this doll just coming at her with a stick, and that's what's so funny but scary. It's like,
Miss
I get the
Kettlewell.
linger and the fact she's about to be killed by a fucking doll and she's just sitting there screaming.
Miss Kettlewell getting her ass whooped.
You've been very naughty, Mrs. Kettlewell.
Well, just the way he says it too. You've been very naughty, Mrs. Kettlewell.
Also getting stabbed with a bike pump in the stomach. That's pretty bad too.
Oh yeah, the bike pump to the stomach, and then she falls over the desk. That was like, just the build up to that kill was like so perfect. So seeing her get hit with the ruler, and I also love when the camera pans out, you still see the ruler hitting her on the floor.
Yeah, that was good. That was good shooting right there.
So I guess we can move on to like least favorite.
After we do the least, can we do our favorite Chucky death?
Yeah, that's like right after least.
Oh, nice. Good.
Okay, so least favorite kill. Okay, I think the heart attack was pretty funny, so I'm not gonna say that one.
Yay!
Unfortunately, that was my pick. It's the heart attack. I'll spoil it now. My only beef was just in like any other movie, it would have been kind of fine, but 3 was sort of pushing its luck with me a bit. So when they tried to take one of the few like Chucky kills in that movie and they make like a joke out of it, I get it's fine, but if it was in a better Chucky movie, I feel like it would have been better earned. So it just because it was a kind of a combination of just like it being in 3 and then also just being kind of a waste in my opinion. So yeah, mine was the heart attack.
Well, once Ren goes, I'll go because I think he was gonna say his.
Oh damn it! I have to really think about this one. If I were to say, it's kind of weird, but hear me out. If I were to say one kill I didn't like, it's probably a TV show kill where the guy is getting electrocuted. The uncle or whatever the fuck. Like it's one of Devin Sawa's characters, and I just thought it looked really low budget when it was going down. Like, you know, you could have had a little bit more to this guy getting electrocuted, but it looked weird.
Hers did it better.
Yeah,
Hers did it was a kill taken from Curse of Chucky. Curse did it much better, and that movie was low budget. Oh
yeah, absolutely. Like you gotta have those like sizzling details. I'm not talking about like Marv from like Home Alone where he's like a skeleton getting jerked off or something. It's just something way worse, you know?
Yeah. And why would you only know that specifically?
Because I remember that kill in Curse, because afterwards, after she kills over dead, he says women can't live with them.
Like,
period.
To skeletons.
And then he starts laughing his ass off.
And then her eyes like all popped out and sizzled. I think that
one of them.
Yeah, I think that kind of just made it worse. So I could kind of tolerate that one. That one's great. But least favorite kill, Cryo, it's your turn.
Oh boy. Worst. Oh man, that is actually a good question. Damn. Trying to think of one that was actually like pretty lackluster, that didn't make me laugh or anything, didn't make me feel anything.
Would you like me to put up a suggestion?
Sure. Shoot me.
Also from the third movie, the security guard who gets shot in the head off screen.
Oh yeah, that one's pretty easy. You're
That's
talking about
low hanging fruit, so I didn't want to pick that one, but like that one's lame.
Yeah, any off-screen deaths kind of just boring. So I get that one totally.
Yeah, that one makes a lot of sense. I'm trying to think if there was a on-screen death that was like lackluster for me. Shit. Oh man, I can only think of the security guard one for right now, unless something like comes up.
Damn, I kind of want to say another one, but it's not that bad. But it's kind of the one in Bride where fucking guy gets like, eaten by the baby at the end. Even though it's a very shocking scene, I just thought it was stupid. It's like
I don't know if he died.
this whole baby just like literally bit his upper lip and fade to black. That's it. I get it's like an ending shocker, but I don't know. I guess maybe seeing some of his face eaten off. I don't know, but I get I get why they did it, but still, and it's another one where a guy gets hit by a bus in that movie, and it looks like terrible 2000s CG, so it didn't really age well when it happened. It was like he's just standing there and boom, it's like a terrible death in terms of like computer generated effects.
Oh, the dude who like falls out of the RV.
Yeah,
on
he
the freeway.
On the freeway, and then he turns around with his hands up, and then he gets blasted. It's like just the stupidity of the scene, as well as how kind of terrible the gore looked. I was not feeling that one. So any other least favorite kills before we move on to favorite deaths of the doll itself, Chucky?
I guess for me, because most of these are, I guess because like most of them are pretty clever, or they just depend on him getting the upper hand. I don't know. I'm between. Shoot, it's tough for me. I mean, I think maybe I still have to say Eddie Caputo getting blown up in his house, just because it's like it's an explosion, but it's like I don't know. The other one's make more of it.
It's so suspenseful, though. It's so good.
Yeah,
I like when you can actually see him doing something. It just feels so indirect.
Yeah, it's a tension scene, but in terms of like just raw brutality and gore, it's not much to be seen. It's just a house blowing up.
I would say David's death and Bride of Chucky.
Oh yeah, the running over.
Oh, that was my
was
least one
great.
right there. How did you die like that? No.
That was
there's,
pretty stupid.
There's another explosion death in Bride, but I like it more because like he at least it was clever. Like yeah, he had the trail of gas and the napkin and everything. It's better, and it's only something he could do because he couldn't be noticed.
Oh yeah,
Which is like
I forget.
Needle knows. When Needle knows,
doll,
that.
man.
Yeah, dude, fucking doll.
So I like that one better. So I think I just have to go with Eddie's death in the first movie.
All right, we have to move to
Wait. Before you do, there was a runner up.
Oh, go ahead.
Literally, you know how Maggie got hit with the hammer in the first one?
Yeah.
I didn't like that kill. It was her fault. It was her fault for not getting her balance.
Yeah,
True, like falling out a whole damn window.
She did all the extra stuff for no reason. I'm like, nah, that's your fault.
She got hit
right
and then slid past the table and then slid through the kitchen and then
that
right
makes
out,
no
right
sense.
out the window. I was like, did someone put grease on the floor, my friend?
Like your temple had to be that weak to do all that extra nonsense. Come on.
My friend, she was discombobulated.
No, and like the weak ass window that it's like, I mean, mostly for the most part, it takes like an incredible amount of force to throw someone against a window, like to go through it. So it's like, damn, okay.
A lot of suspension.
Welcome to living in Chicago.
Yeah.
Oh god.
A lot of suspension of disbelief in that one, so I can kind of see someone not liking that kill too much. But yeah, we have to move on to favorite Chucky death. I guess I'll go first to make it easy. the fan kill when, you know, Barkley tears off Chucky's hand with his knife after he gets it from the kid, and then he throws him off, and it's that long extended scream all the way down into the fan below, and it just chops him up into little pieces. That's what I really liked. And it goes on for like a while. It's not like it's over when he falls into the fan. It's like there's explosions and shit going off when he's in the fan, and like he's blowing up, and then chunks all over the place as the doll like gets sawed in half. That was probably one of the best kills in Child's Play 3 in regards to Chucky.
That ride itself baffles me.
Oh.
That is a pop-up carnival. And
I
that
know.
ride is the size of like a small village. It's like the biggest roller coaster to ever be portable.
They
Open
put all the
fans.
budget into that thing.
Right? That's the whole carnival right there, is that one roller coaster and a rinky-dink like cotton candy machine down the way. Whole place.
And like sharp blades too, that like, because one of them like cut Chucky's face off in that movie. I
Yeah, that
remember
Reaper. That
Yeah.
Reaper statue.
Yeah,
Yeah,
super
'cause, you
dangerous.
know, screw OSHA, I guess. We work at the murder carnival.
I guess Child's Play 2 for me.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
when
I'm gonna
they
back that one up too.
put him in the
That-
machine. Yeah. And then blow up his head.
Got
It's
melted, got mangled, and he got blown up. That's a threefer. That's a hat trick.
it suffered immensely during that, so it was perfect.
They literally
Mhm.
fucking tortured Chucky in that movie. Like, my God, like first his legs, then his hand. It's like a just buildup of him getting torn apart and constantly coming back over and over again until they blow up his fucking head.
Then after getting coated in like melted plastic, being stabbed with a bunch of other doll arms because he went back through the machine.
Yeah, yeah.
But I just love that he's like, he lost his legs and he's just wheeling on this like cart thing, and he's still like, I'm gonna kill you. I'm like, yeah, dude, you're missing your legs. I don't think you're gonna kill anybody, but okay.
Yeah, he's talking.
Trying.
He was talking about chopping off like Andy's legs. I'm like, it's funny because he doesn't have a leg to stand on. Huh?
He's like, I'm
Like,
gonna
also, don't
cut
you-
your
don't you
legs off
need-
too.
Don't you need those legs, Chuck?
It's like,
Kind of your whole plan.
and you're missing like one hand. You're just like a knife hand, so you're just dragging yourself on one hand. It's like, yeah, sure, good try.
Oh no, wait a minute. Didn't he like miss the cutoff time? Like he missed the 24 hours so he couldn't transfer?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was
pissed.
he was
The whole
trapped in the
thing-
body.
That's
He was
been a
just
minute.
super freaking upset.
Oh,
Yeah, he seemed peeved. I would be too.
Yeah, he was not happy. He's like, you little shit, do you know what you did? Now I'm trapped in this body.
That is something that is very particular about a situation where it's like he's kind of hard to kill because he's a doll, so technically like it's not the same as like stabbing a human, you know, like he can be killed, but it's still, he's outer coating of plastic, so it's harder, I guess, for some things to affect him, but he still feels the same pain. So it's not like he's completely invulnerable either. So it's like it must suck for him. It's like, damn, I'm in this, but I'm still getting hurt.
I mean, in the first movie, he did say, he's like, you know, when I went to you about this being a mortar stuff, I thought you were just yanking my chain. But not now. Nah. Except for one thing. This. And he just points at his shoulder where he got shot, and he's like, I thought I wasn't supposed to get hurt. He's like, it hurt like a son of a bitch. It even bled. Now, why is that, John? And he's like, you're turning human. What?
What? Yeah, it's like that's what sucks for him. I think it's a bit of an advantage, but also, yeah, it still hurts, all of it.
It's also kind of weird, like, because there's moments where he is human, and certain places you can shoot him and kill him or blow him up, like the heart or the head, but in
the har. Don't mess it up. It's the har.
the Haw.
The hard
The
umbrella.
har.
But yeah, it's like certain pieces of him later on is like in doll form and he's not really dead. Like I think when Andy blew off his head in Curse and then you move on to like Colt, he's still kind of like alive, just being tortured. So I always thought that was kind of weird, to be honest.
They play around with the lore a lot in the last few movies, and it's a little frustrating because like Nika like completely takes off his head and it's just fluff and all that stuff. It's like what? But why? but then in Cult, they can be killed even though they were just their soul was just transferred into the doll, but they can still be killed. So it's like I don't get it. They play around with it, I guess.
This is a bit
Also,
weird.
apparently one of them didn't even know he had a handgun in his body the entire time.
Oh yeah, and then Andy just like rips his fucking guts out. That's pretty sick. He stomps him out.
So funny.
Honestly, that's another good Chucky kill when he like tears out the handgun, shoots him, and then shoots him in the head, and then he's not dead. So Andy just like curb stomps him a little bit, then he kills him.
Yeah. That's like you have that kind of proof that there's blood and like brains and stuff inside of a doll. Like how is it possible that evidence is there and yet people still don't believe it? It's like, bruh, how can you explain that?
Anyone else got like a favorite Chucky kill they want to mention?
Hold on. I can't think of one right now.
Dang, did we all just bandwagon up on Child's Play 2?
Oh yeah. I mean,
just like two, hands down, two.
It's either 2 or 3 for favorite Chucky deaths for me, honestly.
For me, it's either 2 or Seeds, because I actually did like it when Glenn actually cut off all of his body parts.
You know what,
And
actually,
Chucky's last words. I think
it said, "Attaboy, my son."
Actually,
attaboy, son, attaboy.
Actually, I did like Child's Play 1, his death.
Yeah.
Because he
the
kept
first was actually really
That was
good.
simple. That was a pretty simple.
Because what?
death.
This
I
man
like
was
it.
burned alive. This man was kept getting shot despite being burned alive and still
Oh
lived.
god, yeah.
The
I
way
would
it
give
lead to his
all-
death was fantastic.
Can we
I
say
would give-
that cop in the hallway is like really dumb?
Yes,
Yeah.
he's really dumb.
It's a doll. It's a doll.
And then the hand was choking him.
Kill him.
Even though the detective told him not to touch anything.
And don't forget, you heard Chucky's head going, "Kill him! Don't let him go! Don't let him live! Kill him!"
He should.
The bit where like the voice transfer like goes back to the doll voice in the middle of him dying is pretty damn good.
That was
I agree.
disturbing. He was like, "Hi, my name is Chucky. Wanna play?" I was like, "Oh, I wasn't expecting
Right
that to
while
happen."
he's like dying and melted, pretty damn good. That is a hell of an honorable mention for second place in my book.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the way they handle that's one of the few Chucky deaths that, well, I mean, it's a few overt ones too, and it's some lame ones. Like, I didn't like that he just got shot in Bride. I thought that could have been done better, But the line that he said before he was killed was funny. He's like, but dying is such a bitch after talking about coming back.
I'll be back. I'll always be back. But dying is such a bitch.
Yeah, that part was great, but just I get shot like 5 times, kill over, that's just a little bit basic to me. But the creepy factor of the first one, where it's like adult voice then child, is just it just sends chills down your spine with how they crafted that one.
I have a good side question.
Mhm.
I have a good side question, actually. A very quick one.
Go ahead.
Favorite Chucky resurrection? For me, Child's Play 2, because
Yep.
they use the same fucking head. The body. No. Wait. No, not Child's Play 2. I don't think it was 2. I think it was Child's Play 3.
Oh, you're talking
Where-
about where the blood body of Chucky sort of falls over that like vat, and that place looks like it's
Yeah.
been abandoned for like 20 years.
Yeah, and he screams and he screams.
Yeah,
That's cool.
2 is the one where there's that giant electrical storm and like all the people operating on the Chucky doll like dies.
Yeah. Yeah,
Is it, like,
because
the
they
same
use the
skeleton
same
that they
exoskeleton.
refurbish?
Yeah.
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 I have
it
to
was
say
the
that
same
one for me.
exoskeleton.
It's the one that keeps it the most concise.
Yeah, I would say 2 or 3 for me, but 2 sticks out a little bit more because they actually use the same head.
Yep. I would
That-
say that one's memorable, yeah.
That's my favorite for sure because it's just really cool to see like the whole process of like hand making the doll for them and everything and yeah how they were managed to recover that part of him. So it's like it's not that easy to just obliterate him.
What a weird publicity stunt too. We got the cursed toy and then we refurbished it so now it's fixed.
The
Like,
exact same one, yeah.
they could have just lied. They could have been like, look, here's a different one completely, but it's the same skeleton. Just there wouldn't have even been a sequel after that. They could have just lied.
No, they just said that the kid was crazy,
Man.
as well as his mother.
Yeah, Play Pals, or I'm pretty sure that was their name. They were really dumb throughout the series.
Good guy.
Yeah, good guys, or what? Like, just they were. Oh, I think the CEO died as well in the 3rd one, so that's when Chucky's late night strangulation, which is another funny one.
For the
Oh,
by and
yeah.
large of Child's Play, they also make a TV show and cereal and what is it? Like
Yeah.
a onesie that's also pajamas. They make too much stuff. It's creepy.
Yeah,
Not the ones who-
Move to
I-
like to use this boy's trauma as like I'm gonna sell this doll
Yeah.
now. It's the exact
I-
same doll.
I remember that. I remember the CEO's death, friend, because I remember he says, just like the good old days. Nothing like a good strangulation to get the circulation going.
That's the first time I've seen someone strangled by a yo-yo. That's brilliant, actually. I give this series so much props for ingenuity when it comes to kills. Oh man, but hold on. Now we're getting into like the halfway point. So, number 5 says, "How did we feel about the voodoo lore that was given throughout the entire series?"
Oh, I can answer that real quick.
Hmm.
And it's a very simple answer. Better than the reboot. There.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like it, it's basic stuff, but it's still deep. Like the guy does the incantation, puts his body in the doll, and he's desperate. Like that's the main thing with Chucky. He's super desperate to get out because once again he's turning human. Over time it got a little bit complex. I would say really definitely when they introduced the curse of Dabala with the amulet, and they didn't bring that up anymore. And then now Chucky's like, I guess it makes sense for the voodoo to get stronger for him to put his soul into other dolls like almost instantaneously.
Like it's just for me. It's like it's it's like I love it, but I also hate it because it's so frustrating. Because yeah, they change things from like one movie to another. Where it's like, yeah, in some it's like it depends on how long he's been in the doll to determine if it can be killed or if he can survive it. But then yeah, like in the next movie, it's like instantaneously the same day he can still be killed. Or yeah, like in Cult, he says like he got the spell from voodoo-for-dummies.com for how to transfer his
Hate
soul
that
to multiple
line
bodies.
so much.
Oh.
Oh my god, like it makes sense for like Tiffany to use that book, but like wait him, man.
And now it's time to play Hide the Soul.
Yeah, it's like he used to need that whole damn spell, and he did. The only time he succeeded was at the end of Curse when he transferred into Alice's body. That's the only time that worked because they dropped the amulet thing, and now it's like now it's the Voodoo for Dummies Curse thing where he can transfer into multiple bodies. So it's just crazy. They have fun with it, but it's frustrating.
I think it worked well in like the first movie, but I wouldn't have kept going with it myself.
Yeah.
I think it served the purpose for like a catalyst, and then like you get John the Witch Doctor, you get to kill the Har, and then after that you just be like, okay, the skeleton's in a new body, it's a different doll, same shtick, same rules, but then like don't lean as hard on the voodoo because I have the damn Ade Due Dembala stuck in my freaking head after
Same.
every time I go through that stupid movie series, that one goddamn line. And
Okay,
then
so-
like, and then yeah, Voodoo for Dummies, and then I just I don't know. I'm not. Cult is fine. I don't personally like the concept of like 3 Chuckies or however many. It for me that kind of like dilutes the just the concept of his character a bit. But I haven't seen the show, so I mean I know that's going to be a question coming up at some point. I haven't seen it, so I don't know how that fits in. But yeah, the voodoo thing definitely wears thin for me really fast.
Oh, it's well, damn. How can I put this? It's going to be a lot more voodoo where that came from. That's the only thing I can say about it for now.
Yep.
Listen. The only thing I have to tell you, Cujo, about that is Ade Due Dambala. Give me
Give me
power
the power
back
of faith of you.
I can't wait for one day that's gonna be a pickup line and be like, hey, I know a little bit of Haitian Creole. You want to hear it?
Oh my
It's just gonna
God.
go
Oh
into
my
the
god.
chat. You're like, damn, you know what is that language? Damn, like yes.
I
The
remember.
machine.
You'd be like,
It's
damn,
exotic.
want to come back to my place and play hide the soul?
Oh my God.
Oh my god.
I mean, I will say, like, I know Jennifer Tilly complimented on Brad Dourif, like actually remembering the line,
Yeah, beat for
like the
beat.
entire Chan. He's like, yeah. Did you know I actually did not have to read the script for that? I remembered it.
Good job, King.
I'm pretty sure he gets asked to do that like all the time.
I die.
Yeah, Tiffany has a big personality in the series.
We know what you mean by that, Ren.
I'm talking about personality. Like it's definitely a big personality.
Okay, Ren. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah,
You put too much emphasis on it.
Yeah,
he
huge
got right.
personality.
Even Chucky noticed it when she picked him up at Bride, and he was
Yeah,
just
yeah.
staring down. I was like, what?
Yeah.
He
Look,
knows. He
look.
knows what he's got. They
Look,
look
he-
bigger to him from
look.
that size too.
Look, he got her personality and the meatballs. Perfect.
Oh
Perfect
yeah,
combination.
she's going on about the Swedish meatballs. I
Swedish
forgot about that.
meatballs. I was about to say
Yes.
Swedish meatballs. Chucky's favorite.
So we have number 6 on the document. What are your thoughts on all the other characters besides Chucky who stood out in this franchise?
Um,
Oh, reach at me?
Hold on. Did someone just join?
That's
Sergeant?
the
Yeah,
new guy.
I just joined. I'm sorry.
No, it's cool. We were kind of on question number 6. But I guess since you're here, you can introduce yourself real quick.
Yeah. Noob. I'm just a variety streamer as well, and I love horror movies as well. And I have the whole collection of Chucky. I actually have the dolls too. Right. Me. Both dolls.
So lucky.
You know
I
what?
think
Yeah.
I think I only have the Bride of Chucky doll, but that was because it was the popular doll in my area.
You know what? I will be generous. Noob, since you just got here, we're on question number 5, and we were talking about how the voodoo lore influenced the series and what is your thoughts about how they did it. So I'm gonna pass this over to you so you can answer that question.
Yeah, I think that the first one, I think it was probably just the first one. I don't know if they did it in the second one too, but they talk a lot more about it in the first one, where it's like the background of it, kind of like the voodoo, like him transferring his soul. I mean, like they talk about a lot where he has to get into their body by a certain point, otherwise he's stuck in the doll form for eternity, kind of thing. But I thought that the first one, like they really went in depth with it too. So it's like I thought it'd be kind of cool. Like I honestly, I thought when they first were making them that they were going to go a totally different direction with it. Like maybe instead of, since he can't go in the boy, and he told I forget the boy's name now. was his name Charlie or something like that?
Andy?
Andy?
Andy. I don't know why I was thinking Charlie. I got a flesh Santa Claus out of my head. But Andy, like whenever like he told him first his name, so that's what he had to transfer his soul to. But I honestly thought that they would take it a different way where he could also transport it into another doll or something like that. So it's like, oh, maybe I can just change to a different doll or something, you know? Which I guess he could cosmetically change himself, which I'm surprised that they never thought about doing that really in the series. I mean, it's, I guess, to keep the iconic look though, because that's what everybody likes, you know? I mean, that's what I like too. I didn't really like the remake one where they made him look, I don't know, for some reason his face looked downsy in one of them. Like in one of the newer ones.
Yeah, no, but
So,
now that you mention it though, like my least favorite like look though would definitely have to be like Curse. Like when he's
Yeah.
covered up, it looks awful. I hate
yeah,
it.
the curse was terrible, and I liked that the cult that kind of brought back his look a little bit. So I was like, okay, you know, I mean, you guys at least brought it back and stuff, but definitely the earlier ones I liked. But I just like, I always thought that it was like really cool concept of putting that in there and the changing the soul thing. But I kind of wish that it didn't end with him being at a certain age and he stuck to the doll. I feel like they could have left it open where he could have done it any time, because didn't he try to transfer soul to a different person, different kid at one point? So like they kind of contradicted that, like the army one.
Movie, he tried to put it in Tyler, I think his name was.
Yeah, Tyler.
Yeah. He interpreted it as if like the first person he tells the secret to in that lifetime, I guess, like in that time that he's been in the doll. That's what he thought. He's like, oh, I got a new body. I can do this again. But it's like, we don't know. That's how he's interpreting it.
Right. Yeah, I feel like they kind of like make the rules kind of loose, just so that way they can be like, you know, hey, you know, we can do whatever. It's like, no, shut up, don't pay attention to that detail. This is what we're doing. I don't know, like, you know how they do that in some movies and stuff like that. Like there's like a continuity error kind of thing, and then they just kind of like skip past it. Like, no, that's not. You're not supposed to notice that.
Yeah, they kind of do that a lot as things continue onward from, you know, Curse and Colt from there. And it's just like, even in the TV show a little bit, they kind of do that. And it's just like, yeah, I kind of understand, but at the same time, I guess if those people who are real like lore enthusiasts, they will definitely tell the difference. And a few people here have said the Voodoo for Dummies thing is, well, dumb. So yeah, I can totally get that one. But you know what? I have another quick side question here before we continue on. In terms of Chucky's look, people like, did you like his scarred look compared to the normal one, or do you prefer like the normal one a little bit more?
I like the scarred look, like all the stitches all over, because I think of it as like, I mean, even though it doesn't really make sense if you think about it, because if they're making a new doll and his body's going in, it should be a perfectly nice doll every time. But I like it better because it shows like all the stuff that he went through the movies, and it's kind of like saying, "Yep, this is his battle scars," and you know, so it's kind of like,
the scarred one's not a new doll. That's the that was stolen from the evidence locker after the third movie. That's just the same one, all chopped up.
That's in Bride.
They did a good job with like, because I think Jennifer Tilly's character, didn't she also re-stitch them back together too?
Yeah, she did. And
that's like in Bride though, but then in Curse, like at the end, he stitched up. But then I'm like, wait, where'd that doll come from? Is that one like, where did that one come from? Is that the same doll? Like, I don't know.
I think they
Curse
did that
was
aesthetically.
supposed to be a soft reboot.
Yeah,
I think they're supposed to be like Bride and Seed didn't really happen.
And then they're bringing that stuff back, so it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for that in particular, it's very weird, but I kind of don't think that's the same Chucky doll that was shot in the grave, just that somehow in some new fashion he has returned, and they kind of did the peeling off of the face aesthetically to show, hey, you remember that this happened to him in the previous movie, now we're sort of resurrecting that in terms of looks. And I do prefer the scar version a little bit more because it just looks creepy, especially with the semi-flesh hanging off from the eye. That always looked weird to me. So I pretty much
dolls
enjoy
I
that.
have is he's all like messed up in the face and stuff. I love it because like it definitely does kind of like show you like all the stuff that he's gone through and stuff like that, and the fact that it's like, yeah, it's kind of like and I think it's also helpful too for like, I mean, obviously people know like, oh, Chucky 1 is the first one, Chucky 2 is the second one, you know what I mean? Like it's very clear, but it's kind of cool because then when you're watching them, it's like, oh, okay, well, and then, you know what I mean, you see the scars getting more, and he does look more gruesome, and it looks even better. Like I'm a huge fan of like 80s horror makeup and stuff like that, you know what I mean? Tom Savini is a god.
Oof,
But
yeah.
that's what always captures my eye, because that's what I like that creepy factor to it. So I think that they did a great job of like doing that and added that too, because it definitely added to his character. And then him being more of a rock kind of guy, like his actual personality is incredibly awesome. So, but yeah, I think that, what was it, in the second one, they kind of show in the very beginning when they're showing the words coming up that you see the spiral of the plastic and blood and stuff like that, like they're making basically taking the old stuff and kind of melting it down to make the new doll too, don't they?
And
Yeah.
the third one, yeah,
I
it's
think that's
crazy.
three.
It's 3. Okay, I didn't know if it was the second one or 3. I get mixed up a little bit. I haven't watched them recently. I should have watched them before doing this, honestly. Like rewatched them all.
Yeah, but that was one of we talked about intros. I think that was one of my favorite like resurrections and intros that they did for Chucky. Along with 2, where there's the lightning chaos and everyone's like dying because they brought back the doll and they thought it was a good idea when it really wasn't. But anyone else have any opinions on looks? Do you prefer normal Chucky or scarred?
I
I
prefer
the normal one personally.
Yeah,
I-
same.
I don't know. The scarred one, I just think it's a little overdone a bit. Like it's fine. Like,
Frankenstein, yeah.
for the scarred one, I kind of prefer the cursed scarred one, the one that still looks mostly like the regular doll, but it's a little fucked up.
Understandable.
The like the bride and seed ones, I personally just think they're a little much.
I do get it though
I-
in Bright, because he did kind of get sliced up by a fan in the last movie, so they had to show like some sort of progression, and I guess that's why I don't mind it that much. But yeah, I do get where you're coming from.
I like
Yeah.
clean Chucky.
That's
I don't know
understandable.
how far we are in like in different, like I'm hoping I'm not gonna like go out of sequence in like any questions you guys are asked, 'cause I know I'm kind of joining late, but I didn't know if you guys talked much about the concept with Seed of Chucky or anything, or you know what I mean, the baby.
We did not mention Glenn or any other characters, but we're about to get there. Might as well
Yeah,
segue.
I don't want to jump ahead. I could always wait.
Yeah, I can always segue into that. Is everyone done with this one for looks?
Well, for me, like I do like that they did the scarred thing because it made him like more iconic for like the newer generation. Like that's what people think of.
Yeah.
And it was a way to sort of like revitalize the franchise. I mean, I do really like it, but the original like look is gonna always be my favorite because it's what makes him so scary. He looks like a doll and he looks like a child's toy and he can get close to children, and that is very scary because children are vulnerable and really
Unassuming.
yeah, it's like the scariest sort of things like revolve around children because they're so innocent, so naive. You want to protect them, so it's like for a freaking serial killer to be like just you're hugging your child. It's like no, that's awful. So
Honestly, it kind of reminds me of like a real life thing. Like somebody had an Elmo doll that said "Kill James" or whatever, and for some reason, like the kid's name was James, it's supposed to say "I love you, James," but for some reason they messed up.
Oh,
yeah, I
Yeah,
remember
and
that.
then so the kid had a doll that kept saying "Kill James, kill James." They just asking it like
Kill
a question, "Kill James." I was
Oh,
like, "Oh my
God.
gosh!" So it's like it felt like, you know what I mean, like if Chucky was real, that would be like, you know what I mean. Oh, the factory messed up somehow, and now you got a killer
Jeez.
doll. But I like the first one. I think it's mainly just because it's like a nostalgia thing that I like it, and I it's probably one of my favorite movies of the series. But I do like the scarred look. I think that was a great idea to do, because it's like, what are you going to do once you've done the killer doll thing and you're doing a sequel? Like, what's there left to do? And to make it somewhat different or unique, I guess they added the scars, and that kind of adds more personality to it, you know?
yeah, so he doesn't really he doesn't concern himself much with blending in anymore. He's just out there, doesn't care.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
on top of that, it's also around the time they stopped calling them Child's Play movies because they stopped treating them like horror movies and they started naming them after Chucky because this
Yeah.
is kind of a post-Scream revitalization of it where it was they definitely leaned more into horror comedy, so it didn't have to track so much with logic. They could just be like, it's Chucky. Just watch the movie, shut up, eat your
Yeah.
popcorn. It's a fucking doll that kills people.
Honestly, that worked because Chucky is so iconic, and because his personality is so outlandish and the stuff that he says, it could work. And I like the fact that they gave him someone to play off of, which was the Tiffany doll. So in the end of the day, I think Bright was one of those movies where they might have changed the formula, but it worked for the better. But we're gonna move on to question number 6. So I'm gonna let you guys like answer this off, and I'll just read it. So what are your thoughts on all the other characters besides Chucky who stood out in the franchise? So who wants to go first?
I mean, I guess I can go.
Okay.
Like, do you just mean like what characters you like or didn't like kind of thing, or you talking about like?
I guess it could be something like that. Like, what do you think of like Andy or Tiffany or characters like that, or people you didn't like?
I kind of really liked Andy in the beginning, earlier ones. Like, I mean, he's a child actor and stuff like that. But I think when they switched him, and I think it was the third one or was it the fourth one when he's going to the army?
Yeah,
third one. Yeah, that's not Alex Vincent anymore.
Yeah. When it switched to him, that one just seemed kind of off to me too, because I didn't know if that made sense for Andy's character to go to the army and stuff like that, or military or whatever. Like, and I know he was doing a training thing, wasn't he? Like, it was
was unruly, basically. Like, it was because of his behavior. It's kind of like mandated military school.
It was like ROTC, and a lot of I think the story behind Andy was a lot of other people would not take him because he was a traumatized child, so they just put him in boot camp.
Instead of just being homeschooled or something. I don't know.
Yeah, they just took him because.
I thought they got like taken away from his mom because she was deemed like either crazy or an unfit parent or something.
That's part of it too. That's part of it too. Yeah.
She was still in an institution, so he was just like going around foster families and stuff, and that was just kind of like a common punishment for kids back then. Like, oh, you're bad, you're going to military school. It's like, damn.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I think it was because he was like he was so used to the Chucky doll come to life, and he was so scared of it that he ended up acting a little bit more. Well, I mean, I guess what we would think would be like psychotic behavior. You know what I mean? Like just going around and stabbing a doll or something like that, or you know what I mean?
Yeah,
or talking about killing things or something like that. But to him, that was normal because he went through the nightmare a few times at that point.
Yeah, he would act out.
Yeah, so it was a mixture of not only his mom was like committed, but he would act out and be traumatized, and he was I think Andy was publicized in the news for everything that happened with the Chucky doll conspiracy, so that made like foster families not want to pick him up, and he ended up in military school later on.
Yeah, because he also kept jumping back and forth between foster home, foster home, foster home.
Yep, trouble child, essentially. That's what the media saw him as.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. It's kind of weird because it feels like the movie's kind of like, I think they touched up on it for sure, but they didn't like excessively look into it really. You know what I mean? Like, which I guess it's good because you don't want to like have all your pacing be, well, let's do the backstory of why he's crazy, you know, or going, you know what I mean, acting up and stuff. But but I really liked Jennifer Tilly's character too as a bride of Chucky. I thought that was really well done because they show him transferring her body in and her becoming a doll. And it was like similar to how Chucky became one. So I feel like, you know.
And she's a great character too. Like I just feel like their chemistry, she's a bit more wholesome than Chucky. So when they start fighting and it gets violent, excuse me, you can tell that both of these characters have opposing sides to them. Like she's the one that wants to be the housewife, and Bright, like she's the one who wants to be the housewife, and he wants to be the one that goes against the rules and kill everything, and that sort of leads into Seed as well. So I think that is a contrasting personality that really works out well.
Yeah, I didn't really care though too much when I hopefully I'm getting you guys all the time to talk to. I don't mean to if I'm interrupting somebody.
Oh no, it's cool, it's cool.
Oh, but that kind of like makes me like go into like the whole Glenn character too, because I was like I thought that was terrible because like he's in a doll, but the doll doesn't have like, I mean they never show if they're like, I mean I guess they can't really show if they're
anatomically correct.
Yeah.
Oh no, they specifically reference that they are.
Yeah, they are. Just the Glenda doll wasn't. But I mean, during that scene of Bride where, you know, the two dolls are going at it, and she tells Chucky to get a condom, they are anatomically correct.
It is very stupid.
It's weird.
Like, they do it on purpose. They really just like they do it because it's silly. But like we were in the doll factory in Child's Play 2. We saw the dolls' crotches. They did not have dicks. They were.
Yeah.
Oh god.
It's like so. It's like it's just something they did for that movie just because they wanted them to like to have sex.
The dolls don't have like guts and bones either. I guess it grows in.
I guess
I was thinking like how would he even get her pregnant, because if technically he's a doll now, he's not in his own body, so he wouldn't have that part of his DNA, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, when he turns more human, I guess it's because he has like blood now and all that stuff. I guess technically he also has like the reproductive system starts working. So it's like it's weird. It's like they didn't really think about the lore too much with this one. They just wanted to have fun with it. So
oh yeah, they wanted to make like 5 jokes about this, and they just said we're gonna whitewash over all the logic that goes into it. We want those jokes.
oh yeah, it's definitely joke fodder.
Yeah, then they just and they used it to make poor Glenn's life miserable.
Yeah, and the personality on was it Glenn/Glinda, because it wasn't it like a dual personality kind of thing.
Yeah, it's one boy and one girl trapped in the same body.
Yeah, and to me it was just so odd too, like that character. So it was like it almost made it to where like I mean I guess it's about see Chucky the baby, but it was like it kind of like I feel like if I'm watching a Chucky movie, there's got to be, you know what I mean, a whole. I mean I don't know if I would call it horror aspect, but I mean it's him like almost like a Thrasher killer kind of thing, you know, where they're killing a bunch of people. But I feel like in See Chucky, not very many people really died in that one. It was just kind of centered around the new character.
See, I feel like Seed did a bunch of off-screen stuff to just kind of pad numbers.
Yeah,
I remember there's a bit where he like bangs a closet and 3 bodies fall out of it. None of them have names. None of them are characters. They're just 3 dead people. Chucky has 3 more kills in this movie now.
It was just so he could be like, oh, I did these things without Tiff knowing. So it's like on purpose. It's like, but still, it's like I want to see them.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, because yeah, they definitely wanted to build like that and Bride as like comedic movies, but they still had to be like horror adjacent.
Yeah, that movie just felt entirely like Chucky and Tiffany had a gambling addiction, but instead of gambling, it was like killing people, and that was it. It's just weird.
I love that movie so much, though. It's like it's just my guilty pleasure.
Oh,
but it is so stupid.
Believe me, it is entertaining for all the wrong reasons. Especially the scene where we had to see a doll in the window deposit into a cup, and I'm like, what the fuck are they doing?
Oh god.
They're writing a movie.
It's like, what am I supposed
checkbooks out, producers?
What am I supposed to do with this? It's like, what the? I guess that's why they call it Seed of Chucky. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Nah, you're thinking.
Oh man.
I always loved Bride of Chucky. Always thought that was really funny. Like it was really well done. Like bringing her on there, and then they still had a lot of the killing and stuff like that. So I thought there was a lot of really good balance. But I feel like the Siege Chucky, it almost like I wasn't too into it. I guess like if all of them, like I feel like that was like one of my least favorites, as well as like the third one with the ROTC kind of thing. But the rest of them to me felt like normal kind of Chucky movies. I mean, obviously the first one being like the original, you know what I mean? Like the one that started it all. So it's obviously at a different pace than the rest of them. It's more horror related. You know what I mean? They got more and more comedic as it went on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Seed is definitely an example where they overdid the humor, and most of it, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, some of it was funny. Seeing Red Man die in that movie was kind of just comedy gold to me, but
yeah,
the rest of it with the pissing your pants thing and Glenn running, and it looks like he's running in 12 FPS, I was not feeling that at all. But to go back on the topic of characters, I would say Andy's cool, you know, the stoic hero over the series that has conquered Chucky a lot of times. I really like Kyle as well, you know, his foster sister. A lot of personality there. You know, she was kicking Chucky's ass for a little bit. I like that. I also enjoyed the detective from the first one, Mike Norris. I thought he was a cool character as well. Hopefully he comes back in the TV show too. I
even really kind of liked Chucky's character before he ended up in the doll even.
Oh, so you're talking about Charles Lee Ray. Yeah. That's I don't know if it's on document anywhere, but that's an interesting backstory too, because you don't know much about his like serial killer history, and they try to go into detail on that on the show, which I do appreciate. You find out that he's been at it all along. This is how he met Tiffany, and they sort of do like this Bonnie and Clyde thing where they go around and like just kill everybody. So it's fascinating to see Chucky sort of end up like that and go to Nika's mom. I did like the fact that he's the one who caused her to be the way she was as well when he stabbed her mom in the belly. So a crazy scene, but that's how it all started.
I hate that so much, actually.
Yeah, it's random. It's definitely random, because like, why does he have this random obsession with like this woman's mom? But you know, I don't know. Maybe they'll explain it in, like season 2, maybe.
Maybe, because like I hope so, because it's this kind of person that I never would have imagined that he would ever want kids or anything like that. He was with someone, they had like they killed together. You would think he would want to stay with Tiffany, but somehow he just like thinks he fell in love with another woman like so quickly, randomly, a mother, and he actually wanted to like be with her and raise her kids. I'm like, what the fuck?
Well, this is why Tiffany called the police on him. That's got to be also talked about.
It's spoiler. So weird.
Oh yeah, that is spoiler alert. I'm sorry. What?
It was so stupid for me. It was like, how in the world is he now suddenly like, oh, I want like, but no, but I want to be with you and with your kids. I'm like, nah, I hate that. But I do love Nika though. Like she's great. She's super good with the representation of having a disabled character be like to fight against a horror movie villain, and to show how even with that she can still use that even to her advantage sometimes. But
I was actually that one too. That was the disabled one, right?
That's Brad Dourif's daughter.
The last one.
Yeah, that's his daughter, and it's cool how she kind of transitions and turns into him later on when Cole happens and he puts his soul into Nika, and she starts acting like him, and then she stomps some doctor's head in. So I'm like, okay, this is cool.
Hey, if you're gonna cast somebody to play as Brad Dourif, you might as well just get his daughter. She spent the most time with him.
Yep.
I love it. It's like
That's
it's
awesome.
so crazy. I love that dynamic.
Yeah, Fiona Dourif rocks that role. I like that Nika's just smart. She's not stupid like a horror movie protagonist. Like she notices a bunch of stuff in Curse, and then acts on it, which is really smart.
Yep.
Same thing as like when they brought. I love that they brought Alex Vincent back to play Andy Barclay as an adult. That's awesome, because like in like 1 and 2, I mean, he's a little poopy pants kid, but he's
Yeah.
he's Andy Barkley.
Yeah, and then like I love seeing that too when they bring back characters and stuff like that. Like, I mean, not to steer away from like the Chucky movies, but they did something similar with like the Nightmare on Elm Street movies too, when they had Heather Langenkamp being one of the original survivors of Freddy, and then bring her back way back later where she's helping some other people survive him. They do the same thing with Andy. You know what I mean? In the early movies, he overcomes, you know what I mean, fighting off Chucky and everything else with the help of other people. But then as he gets older, then it's like he's helping other people out, you know, that are encountering him and stuff. So it's kind of cool, like watching him become, you know what I mean, the helpless kid to a hero, in a sense.
Well, before we move on, does anyone else have any opinions on this question about characters that aren't Chucky?
I love Kyle.
Kyle's great. There's things I want to say, but I can't. But
Don't.
I don't believe it for a second. That's all I'm gonna say.
I don't believe it either. I hope not. Man. But yeah.
Oh, this is the next question. So, talking about the TV show, has anyone seen it here?
I
Me.
have.
I have not seen it yet.
I haven't, and mostly it's just because I don't have any way to watch it.
I remember they were running it
I
on
don't have
Sci-Fi.
Peacock, and I'm here for.
I don't know if it's on DVD or Blu-ray at all. Oh, it is? Okay.
Oh, is
Good.
it?
I have a Steelbook Blu-ray for it. It's so cool. I love it.
Let me borrow it.
Let's see. How can I say those non-spoilers, the most non-spoilery possible?
It's impossible. It can't be done.
It's good. Like, okay, it's a nice expansion on how everything is set up for the story. One thing I do like is that they introduce this new cast of characters. There's Jake, and you know, he's dealing with his family issues and his anxiety, stuff like that. And then Chucky is just there, comes into his life, and then, you know, if Chucky's in the picture, things get like way worse. So that's one thing the show conveyed upon. I think for fans of the original series, you're going to like the fact that they expand on the lore and the backstory and the history as well, because I was quite surprised they like did all of that as the show sort of set up, and talked about Chucky and how his progression has gone. So that's the most non-spoiler way I could put it. I really liked it, and I can't wait until season 2, because they kind of have some stingers at the end of this season that they need to answer.
I'm very excited.
Oh, you know they're going to answer a lot of those questions too. Like, they like to keep you kind of hooked, and then you want to know what's happening. And they're going to introduce. I mean, hopefully, if the because by the sounds of it, the show's like really good. They would introduce like another season, and then just kind of like they'll set up things for the next season to follow, kind of thing. You know.
I kind of like the trailer for season 2, because it, again, I'm trying to keep it super vague. It's sort of like a detention school setting, so it kind of reminds me of, are they gonna do Child's Play 3 but better? So that's kind of what I really like about it. It's setting up some of those old callbacks, but at the same time trying to keep everything new and refreshed.
I just know that season 2 is going to be my end game. That's my it's my vindication for being so patient and just like loving this franchise for so long, because they're bringing lots of things back, sort of tying up some loose ends that we weren't sure about. I'm sure of it, so it's just, well, yeah, I'm super excited. I'm super excited.
Wait.
And
Isn't it coming out this October, or am I crazy?
Yes, October.
yeah, October.
Oh yes, I will be watching
It's time for
that.
spooky season, so it's I was just super excited because lots of things are sort of coming back that I've been waiting for a very long time, and I just like that it's refreshing to come back to younger characters fighting him again, not as young as Andy was in like the first 2 movies, but like, you know, like teens. So it's still pretty good, and they're coming to sort of younger characters. That dilemma, what's like, yeah, you're young, no one believes you, especially when this kind of stuff happens. And the only thing is that the flashback sequences annoy me, because I like the story, but I really hate how they're dubbing over the actors. They like there are other actors playing the younger versions of them, but it's like it's Brad Dourif and Jennifer Tilly like talking over it, and it's just so distracting. It's like, oh my god, how are you doing this?
Yeah, I thought that was sort of weird as well. I would say for people who haven't watched it, when you get to that point, you will know what she's talking about. But the ADR dubbing and all they do there is kind of jarring at first.
I don't know why. Like, you could just let the actors like talk in their normal voices, but it's like, I don't know. I guess like they just have such iconic voices that it's like it has to be them. It's like, yeah, but it just looks weird in presentation. But it's still like getting that backstory though.
Although I will say though, like that does sound like it would be weird. That'd be distracting. But sometimes, like whenever I watch those old timey kind of like, or not old timey, but like 80s kind of horror stuff where they would make the bad guy talk like a normal person, and then you kind of like, you know what I mean? It almost adds a creepy factor to it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, I know it's a little bit different than what you're describing for the show. So I mean, that just feels like it'd throw you off. Kind of like if you're watching something that's subtitled or dubbed in English, but then you're like watching them, like the mouth's not match up right or something, or
It's a character
they did that in a
twist.
lot of like 70s 80s horror movies that were like they were produced with actors from different countries, and so they had to dub over some of the lines in English, and it was
It's
they always
basically
sound so wooden.
it's basically a character twist, but it's just weird how it's presented. That's all I can really say about it.
yeah.
Because at first I was confused. I was like, huh?
Well, I mean, I do actually love the TV show. I was worried about it being on Sci-Fi, but it's pretty good. I'm ready for season 2.
And I was surprised by all the gore and swearing they were allowing. I thought that was funny, but the weirdest like sort of censorship about that show was when they couldn't say the word cunt. Because I noticed that was everything else was like free for all on Sci-Fi, but that was the one word that got like bleeped, and I was like, oh, they have some weird policy with that. So yeah.
I feel like it's good to give them that kind of creativity though for it, because a lot of times like what makes the show, and I'm not saying like just being able to use foul language makes a show, but it's like the character, you know what I mean? Like this is what the character would say and stuff like that. So to like filter what they can say kind of like changes the character entirely almost, you know? And so I feel like letting them have that free range to be able to have them say things or do certain things that normally we'd be like, oh no, that's not acceptable. But it's like, well, we understand if you're trying to drive the plot a certain way, if you're trying to have the character be a certain way, that it makes sense.
It's just a weird Sci-Fi policy where they could say anything under the sun but that word. So when it happened in the show, it was a little bit weird. But I'm pretty sure this is like uncensored on like DVD all the way, so you should be good if you get a copy of that there.
I guarantee you, Child's Play is Don Mancini's baby. If they wouldn't let him do that, I'm sure he'd find another channel that would.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
I didn't get a chance to answer the last question. I was gonna mention Kyle and Andy and Nika.
Fair.
Oh, they're great.
Oh, we're steadily getting through it, by the way, because I know these drugs are kicking in for me, so we do have to sort of kind of wrap it up. But the next two questions: did you see the Child's Play reboot? If so, describe your thoughts on them modernizing the formula. I have not seen this, so I will skip and let you guys take it.
Honestly,
I have seen it, but I will wait to hear what other people say first.
Honestly, this is now. I was iffy on it. I didn't hate it 100%, but I definitely didn't necessarily vibe with it too much. I mean, the fact that he could control anything that was made by the same company that made him, that was pretty terrifying. Whether it was Andy's hearing aid or the TV, the Wi-Fi, the speakers, the vehicle, that actually not terrified me, but that did make me go like, wow, holy shit. And I mean, just that alone kind of like got my attention mostly. I did not like how Chucky looked. They could have done so much better with that. The writing was very hit or miss. And I didn't like the fact that they had Chucky be super possessive of Andy. Though seeing him doing whatever it took to protect Andy, that was very, very, very interesting. I mean, Chucky ended up brutally murdering Andy's mom's boyfriend, who Andy did not like, and vice versa with her boyfriend, because he ended up getting a lawnmower to death, which I'm like, hell yeah. I like the kills in it mostly, but other than that, I don't know. I mean, I like the modernized look. Well, not the look of him, like the design, but just the idea that he could control like your speakers, vehicles, the Wi-Fi, your TV, your hearing aid, if you have one, your phone. That is just fucking terrifying. Because for me, the movie was like 5 out of 10. I've seen worse, way worse.
All right. Anyone else want to go on this?
I haven't
First,
seen it, so I'm sorry.
oh, okay, now go ahead.
I was just gonna say I haven't seen it, so I'm skipping this one.
I have, and pretty much like a lot of the same thoughts. The whole thing about him having access to like the other sort of devices makes it more like unique, and what I'm happy that they did a kind of like AI based doll concept. What I like is that they did something new. They didn't just make like another killer doll movie, but that's also what frustrates me. Like they had a really nice concept, a little bit more original. They didn't need the Child's Play name, but they knew that they had to use it in order to get like people to watch it. So it's just weird to just see like, Child's Play and the doll's name is Chucky and all that, but it's so different. And they have Andy and Karen, and it's like, but it's so different. Like they could have just done this completely original with a different title and everything, but I get it. I get that's what they had to do, because it was still a really nice concept. Because that's honestly a fear that I have, where it's like, it's obviously sort of like riffing off Amazon, where it's like, if these companies keep making more devices, and you have a lot of them in your home, someone can hack that and potentially do something dangerous or steal your information. So it's something that is real, that could happen. Not with a doll, but hey, I think we're far from like AI takeover, but it's a threat.
Yeah. Don't forget about Mark Hamill singing.
Yeah, I still
That
have
was
that
pretty.
stuck in my head.
That was You are my buddy until the end.
He was
so fucking creepy. I love Mark. In my opinion, I did not mind Mark Hamill as Chucky. He gave me the creeps. I'd never get the creeps from Mark Hamill. Ever.
He was great. Just like it's this kind of like innocent but very sinister doll, because that's what he is. He doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know that what he's doing is wrong. So it plays into that, and I really liked it. He thinks he's just being his best friend. He doesn't know what he's doing.
And plus, it's not like it's like Seed of Chucky bad. Like it's not that bad. It's they took more time with the design of Chucky, and a bit more on the story. I think it would have paid out in the end.
For sure. No, like, but I still think it's pretty good. Like it's serviceable.
Especially the kills. Oh my god, yes, the kills.
They're so good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very brutal.
Yeah. Especially the mom's boyfriend. Jesus Christ, that was nice and gory. Slice and dice like leftover chili.
Yeah, I think I could definitely like recommend it. Not great, but it's good, solid.
You'll get a thrill out of it.
The only snippet I seen is Chucky choking the cat. That's it, and it's quite ironic because there's more cat killing as we go along. But you know.
Oh, and they do have one very iconic line where he kills somebody. He's like, "This is for Tupac."
What? Okay.
Because the kid teaches him to say that because he's just like, yeah, he's a doll that can be trained. So this kid just tells him to he thinks it would be funny. He's like, hey, raise a knife in the air and say this is for Tupac. So he learns that and he uses it when he kills somebody. It's so stupid.
It's for my man Tupac and Biggie. Oh man. Oh, Cujo, you were saying something?
Yeah, I was gonna say a lot of my thoughts about the movie are actually more behind the scenes. Like the movie itself, like I'll just start with the movie itself. It's fine. It's a serviceable movie, but I mean, you've seen me in the chat. You know how I feel about pointless like reboots that don't need to be. This didn't need to be a Child's Play movie for a lot of reasons.
Facts.
Like for one,
Yeah.
I have a huge problem with how they actually handled the rights and how they the studio kind of shafted Don Mancini on it. He was working on his TV show and they came to him for like his blessing on it. Now I'm again, I haven't really heard anybody talk about this from the actual cast. So this is all like sort of word of mouth from the discussions. He did not give his blessing on this one because he was working on his own project and he said, no, I don't want you to do this. They came to him to be a producer and he turned it down because they gave him zero creative control. And then they just made the movie anyway. And then when you go watch it, my biggest beef is they could have just not made it a Child's Play movie because if I remember correctly, they don't even call the doll Chucky. His name is Buddy.
His name is a Buddy doll. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So like everybody just calls him Buddy. They use like the human characters' names for no reason because they're not like the same characters. If it had stood alone on its own, I would have said it was a pretty great movie actually. But because they had to tack Child's Play onto it, and they do it in a really disrespectful way. Not the cast, mind you. The cast is just fucking acting in a movie. I don't have any beef with like Mark Hamill or any of the other actors in the movie, but because of how
Aubrey Plaza, love her.
Yes.
I don't know, just how the studio handled that one, it really doesn't sit well with me.
It's extremely lazy because it's like the doll just the crappy AI essentially just decides to call itself Chucky. It's like, oh wow, you have to use the name, but
yeah, and it's just for cheap brand recognition, and I hate that crap. Like nobody would have watched it if they didn't call it Child's Play, which kind of means maybe you had a shitty movie, but it was fine.
They just know that a lot of people don't. It's sad, but a lot of people don't watch like super original like stuff that's not related to anything. Everything's like a reboot, remake a lot of these days. So I know that they felt they had to do it, and I think what I remember seeing is that this was like one of the producers or one of the co-directors of the original one, and he still had like the rights to like the original Child's Play name and stuff. And I think he just wanted to make a movie based on like the concept that he had for it or something like that. And so
Yeah,
that's kind
whatever
of where that came from.
whatever studio it was still technically had the rights to Child's Play. So they were like, we can make a movie, and if we want to hold on to the
MGM.
rights, we have to So we have to make a movie to hold on to the rights to be able to make a
Yeah.
film adaptation. I don't know. It's that same crap people were mad at with the Spider-Man stuff a while back.
They
Like, if you have the rights, it doesn't just mean you have to like crap out a fucking low effort movie.
I mean, it's the same thing we could talk about later about games, but like I said, that's a different topic. But like, I know when I follow this movie closely, I know they could not do anything involving the voodoo, the name Chucky, and the design of Chucky, which is why they had to make the design the way they did, and why they got rid of the voodoo.
Yeah, at that point you could have just called it you can't call it the creepy doll. That's a really bad movie. You could have just called it Spooky Doll or something, and it would have had just as much to do with Child's Play.
They did it for that reason, and it's like, I was mad about it when they announced it, but at least in the end, thankfully it didn't affect the main series that like Don Manzini was working on. That's still going well. It's people are still watching that. They're fans. And in the end, this was, some people liked it, some people didn't. So it's like, they did it. I hope they're happy with it, but it didn't really change anything. It didn't really bring in a lot of fans. So,
Yeah. My main issue was the design of Chucky or the Buddy doll. That was my main issue.
he's ugly.
That said, I think Mark Hamill did a really good job.
Yeah,
Um,
especially with something that he has never done before, a role he's never done before. So I'm sure he had fun.
he may not have done it, but he is a tremendously adaptable voice actor. He does
Yes.
a ton of voice work, and it's really good stuff.
All right, so
I think he was perfect.
I think we could move on to the final question. So, how would you rank all the Chucky films with your personal list from
Wait,
best?
hold on. Before you continue, I just got to say this. The whole AI thing was stupid. Go ahead.
It's okay. So I know that part of me gets what they were doing, and then the other part of me is like, without the voodoo and mystical elements of Chucky, it's just kind of not relative to the previous history of the character. But this is usually something they always do in reboots. They always feel like whether soft or hard, they're gonna start over. But
The plot felt like mainstream stuff to me, and usually I give mainstream stuff a shot. Some of them hit, miss, but this was like way too, in my opinion, way too much mainstream media plot for like a horror movie, like a reboot of Child's Play. It's like, no,
I also
What it
remember-
almost felt like?
it's too cliche.
It kind of felt like a modernization of like HAL 9000 more than Child's Play. Like
where
it
it's
felt like they
robot.
borrow way more from like 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Oh,
Yeah, what happens when technology goes bad?
Or like iRobot almost.
I remember iRobot.
It could have just been a sequel to iRobot and it would have played out just the same. Or a prequel or whatever.
You were my buddy, dog. Get slapped.
Yeah, now imagine if Alan Tudyk said that.
Or the Jetsons Rosie goes rogue.
Oh, that
Boom,
is...
we just wrote a better movie.
the Jetsons rated R.
But as for the final question, I was talking about like ranking the franchise from best to worst. Okay, so I'm gonna go quick. I have to exclude the reboot because I haven't seen it, so I want to form my own opinion. But I will say best Child's Play 2, Child's Play 1, then Curse, then I will put Cult under that. No, actually I put Bride right there, and then I would put Cult because I enjoy Bride a lot more. And then under that I would put 3, and then under that I would put C, because I remember seeing C in the theaters and I was so disappointed. You
For a
have no
second,
idea.
Ren, I thought you were reading my list. You got so close to my order. It's scary.
Yeah,
Pretty
no.
close to mine too.
But go ahead, Kujo.
Oh no, go ahead. I was gonna start listing. No, keep going.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I'm quite surprised by that, because I kind of thought my list would be like super different, but you know what? I guess everything comes to a head. You know what I mean? So I don't mind that.
Mine's 2, 1, curse, cult, but then slight difference. I say Child's Play 3. I say Bride, and then I actually put reboot and then Seed.
Oh, okay. So C is still at the bottom.
Now, mine's going to be a little controversial.
Go ahead.
Child's Play 2.
Yep.
The original Child's Play.
Yep.
Curse of Chucky.
Okay.
Bride of Chucky. Child's Play 3.
Wait, really?
Cult of Chucky. Child's Play Reboot, and then Seed of Chucky. I could not get into Cult of Chucky. Not like that.
Cold is I can see that as a movie where it kind of gets very confusing over
Because
time.
I can see why the studio told Don Mancini to not go with that idea. I'm the rare minority here. Multi dolls is kind of what's that word? Convoluted. It felt
Actually,
too convoluted for me.
The studio really liked it. They just couldn't
movie.
afford it.
I thought they didn't like it.
No, in 3 they were just in 3 they read the script. They're like, that's awesome, because when they pull the corpse over the vat and a bunch of blood goes in the plastic, it was gonna make a bunch of Chuckies. They're like, we just can't afford it. That's gonna cost so much in animatronics. We can't do it. But they loved the idea at the time.
Oh.
That makes much more sense than the voodoo stuff, honestly. But would have been more like sensical for that to happen, because the blood would have been mixed in with like the vats for several dolls. And honestly, it's kind of stupid that they only made one doll with all of that. So
Yeah.
Right?
That's a lot of plastic. How big is this doll?
it would have been multiple dolls, but they just they had to ignore that. They couldn't really address that issue.
I think it would be really funny if they would just screw it. We'll just do one big doll. All right, it'll be a 50-foot Chucky.
Anyone else want to do their list?
Oh, yeah. So mine's very different. I'm sorry. In some areas. So Child's Play 2, it's obvious that's not changing ever. Curse, the original Child's Play, Seed, because I actually do enjoy that as much as it is bad. I do have more fun with it than with Bride. And Cult, it's like I rewatched it recently, and like I liked the kills and the gore and stuff, but still it's the goofy stuff is like it's a little too much sometimes. And Child's Play 3, just because it's like the most boring one, like just much of nothing happens.
Interesting.
I have an issue with like trying to differentiate between Cult of Chucky and Curse of Chucky. Now, is Curse of Chucky the one with the lady in the wheelchair?
Yeah.
Well, she's in both of them,
and Curse.
but
Curse is Mansion,
house.
Cult is Insane Asylum.
Yeah.
Yes.
Say Curse is the Mansion and then Cult's the Insane Asylum.
Yeah.
So Cult is the one with multiple Chuckies.
Yeah,
And is that the one that's also where it's a movie? Like where isn't it one of them like where it's like, oh, we were playing actors on this?
No, you're thinking of Seed.
That's Seed. Yeah.
That's the one where Jennifer Tilly plays Jennifer Tilly talking with
Jennifer Tilly.
Jennifer Tilly, yeah. I'm trying to think then. I don't remember the multiple Chuckies one.
Oh,
Yeah,
wondering if
I've
I
seen
just
some
maybe I
Saturday
didn't
one.
see that one. Maybe I'm not sure if I've seen that one. I'll have to like go back and watch it. But I would have to say, and what's the difference between the first one and the second one? Because I know the first one, it's like telling the story, you know what I mean, of how he became Chucky and then come after the kid. But what happens in the second one? I can't really remember. It's been a minute since I've seen it.
the second
Second one's kind of the same shtick, but now he's in a foster home.
he's in
It's
foster
basically
home.
more expanded, and
Oh, okay.
don't know that.
Yeah.
It's weird that I'm going to say this because you guys all went 2 and then 1, but I'm going to go 1 and then 2.
That's
That's
fair.
fair.
And
That's
then
fair.
I also liked for my third one, Bride of Chucky, and 'cause I loved how I love like seeing him with all the scars, and then I love seeing that like that introducing Jennifer Tilly's character as well, and like they did so good with it, so I really enjoyed that a lot. And then I would probably say, because I'm not going to include Cult in the remake just because I don't think I've seen them too. But then I would go with the third one, and then I'd go with Seed of Chucky. And I'd put Curse before 3, and then 3, and then a Seed of Chucky. Yeah, so it's kind of weird.
My main problem with Bride is like the main stuff is great. You know, like Chucky and Tiffany. Like if it was just them, I'd fucking love it more. That's my favorite part. But it's just the side characters, the stupid romance plot. I hate it. I don't care for it. Why is
Yeah.
it there? It really gets in the
Yeah.
way.
You're
And
You're talking
it-
about Jesse and Jade. Yeah.
yeah, it's like it's there and it's very prominent, especially in like the middle of the movie. It's just them arguing, so it's like I can't get behind that. It really takes away the meat of this, what I'm here for. So that's why I have to place it lower, because like I have less fun with it, because that interrupts a lot of the good stuff for me.
Although I do like some parts of it too. Like I don't know if they meant to do this more subtle or not, but sometimes they'll be doing something and then you'll see them doing something in the background, and it just like it cracks me up, you know what I mean? Like you'll see like Chucky in the background in their car while they're sitting there talking and arguing or whatever else, and he's in the car jamming out to rock music or whatever, you know. Like just like the little details and stuff like that, or if he's under the car messing with something or whatever else, it's just kind of funny seeing them do their own thing while these two are having like an argument that we wouldn't care anything about. But then here they are just doing whatever, you know. And I kind of like the idea of like them having to sneak around too, because like really, I guess like if they're able just to go around and kill anybody, then it's like, well, they would obviously somebody would take them out, whatever else. But then the other thing about you think about it too is like there's more of like an aspect of like it's tougher for them to do it. You know what I mean? Like it gives them a challenge, I guess,
Yeah.
to try to do something behind people's backs and stuff like that. So like they kill people or you know what I mean, sabotage things, stuff like that. So certain things happen, but it's kind of I don't know.
Anyone else want to take this train?
All right, I want to do this quick. Child's Play 1, Child's Play 2, let me see, Curse, then Child's Play 3, okay, I said Curse, Cult, and then between the reboot and Seed, it's pretty hard considering I hate both. I would say the reboot then Seed, because obviously Seed was just oof, not even remotely funny. I just like passed out seeing that movie.
We have the same list.
We just passed out seeing the movie.
Also, I like that except for one exception, the entire group can all agree that 1, 2, and Curse are the 3 that place.
Yeah.
They're really good. I mean, it's
Listen, Ren. Other than that Britney Spears joke, that movie was garbage.
I ain't denying that Seed is very, very terrible, but as I said, entertaining, sure. Good kills. I mean, seeing John Waters get like half his head melted off, that's entertaining. But other than that, it's low on my list for a reason, because This is where they sort of
Surprise.
took the bright concept and they just kicked it in the high gear, and it did not work for me.
Really?
I'm a seed apologist. I don't care.
Seed apologist. Can we just end the podcast? Just
Okay.
I don't take that out of context.
don't take that out of context, please.
No, do so.
No.
Yeah, go ahead. Just collect some audio clips. Get like one. Just be like, I'm a closet fan of Seed.
Hell yeah, I don't care. I embrace it.
Seeds. What was entertaining when we watched it? And Seed for all the wrong reasons. Seed. I'm still saying that word.
Get enough Seed.
God fucking damn it, dude. Let me end this. Let me do
Regular
outro.
seed is a thing. It doesn't have to be dirty.
Wait,
No,
there's
it doesn't have to, but somebody watching is gonna make it that way.
Oh,
Right.
The clip
know.
function exists for a reason.
Yeah, mine's in the gutter already.
Say, oh no, I'm seeding my lawn. Yeah.
There you go.
Seed.
Everybody's getting
man, my
together to
internet's bad. I was
experience
saying
Seed
with an
at the
apple
same time.
apologist.
It's just two C's at once going down the tube. All right, I'm gonna end it now. So it's time to do these outros. I'm Renegade Operative. You can find me on Twitter at RenOperative_. You can find
No,
me
we
on-
can't.
Yes, you can. You can find me on YouTube at Renegade Operative. Planting my seed on YouTube land.
All right.
And, you can find me on Twitch at Renegade_Operative. There you go.
I mean, if you want to plant your seed, you can follow him at xvideos.com.
What the fuck? I'm not on that site.
What have I started?
You've started
Only
everything. OnlyFans. All right, so we're gonna outro Mr. Cryo. So Cryo, where can we find you?
You can find me on YouTube and Twitter under the same handle, Cryo Gaming.
Awesome. So next up we got Kaneki.
Twitter, YouTube. Here's the thing, I didn't say Twitch because I don't like Twitch right now. Or ever. The name Google Order on Twitter and YouTube. And oh man, Rayman. It's like the worst character in that movie.
Don't worry, Redman got him beat on Twitch, so follow twitch.tv/Redman, and you get your
Oh, Redman. I said Rayman. Oh, you see, that's how bad that movie is. I forgot his name.
All right, next up is Misty. Where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Twitch, same username, MistyRose98, and on TikTok, MistyRoseVA, because I do voice acting stuff there and movie stuff. So yeah.
Next up is Kudra.
You can find me on my OnlyFeed account where I'll be wearing my good guys pajamas screaming
Oh,
at
jeez.
pigeons.
Oh,
No, you can find me at YouTube at Overlord Arcade. You can find me at Twitter at Overlord_Arcade.
man, last but not least, Sergeant Noob. Where can we find you?
I'm on Twitter. Do a lot of stuff on Twitch, and I do some TikTok as well, actually. And I had a YouTube, but I'm like redoing my YouTube, so it's not ready yet. But they're all the same, SQT and then NOOB, and it should be all together.
Mhm.
So
All right, so we're gonna sign out on this podcast. Pretty fun time talking about everyone's favorite killer doll, Chucky. Definitely gonna do more horror movie content, and as far as stuff goes, I have some ideas in the pipeline, and of course there is the idea of Mr. Michael Myers. He's having a little bit of a final movie. Maybe we'll talk about him a little bit in the future as that progresses. So we will sign out of this podcast. Hopefully you guys have a nice night, and we will see you later. Take care.
Bye.
Excuse me, Blade from Puppet Master is my favorite doll. Thank you.